All right, it's nearly October, and with Halloween around the corner, I can't think of a better time to talk with John Polizzi, author of Pipeline of Death, From Medical Rep to Serial Killer. With over 20 years in medical device sales, John brings us behind the curtain of the OR and into a world where the last person you'd suspect might be the most dangerous. John brings over 20 years of success in high-level B2B sales spanning dental, medical, and capital equipment markets. For years, he has lived in a world few outsiders see, the operating room. As a medical device sales representative, he has stood alongside surgeons during spine, brain, heart, and trauma cases, navigating the intense, high-stakes environment of the hospital. The insider's perspective sparked the idea behind his debut psychological thriller. One night, while watching a true crime documentary with his wife, he wondered, what if the victims weren't just killed but operated on? Detectives would naturally suspect a surgeon, but what if it wasn't a surgeon at all? What if the killer was the person no one would ever suspect? The good-looking, charming medical device rep with total access to hospitals and surgical sets. Blending professional expertise with creative vision, John Polizzi delivers a gripping, unique, authentic thriller that could only be written by someone who has lived inside the very world he brings to life. You can buy John's book, Pipeline of Death, on Amazon and Kindle. I'm holding up the extended version right here. John, welcome to the Chase MedSearch podcast.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
I'm excited to have you on. We've known each other for years and have worked together before. And it is a true pleasure to bring an author to the Chase MedSearch podcast. But let's establish a few bona fides first with you. What surgical specialties have you sold into? I mentioned in the beginning a few of them.
Yeah, so I was in cranial, cranial maxillofacial. Heart surgeries, cardiac, cardiothoracic, neurosurgeons. I did a lot with anesthesiologists as well. A lot of specialties.
That's great. When did this idea come to you to write Pipeline of Death? It's a book on a serial killer instead of a book on sales or coaching or anything else that you're quite an expert on.
Well, it's funny because I love sales and leadership, and I've actually had a course I made myself when I was actually helping reps. So this is kind of, I guess, out of my wheelhouse to write a book about serial killers. But I was with my wife and we're watching a documentary. I think it was on HBO. And, I'm thinking, these people are such idiots, right? Like, how do you kill people and have no conscience? It's just so unbelievable. And this thought came to me. I'm like, man, what if somebody was, taking, I don't want to give too much away, right? But what if someone was taking surgical sets and implants from the hospital and then performing them on live people and then ditching the bodies? Like, the police would automatically think it's a surgeon because that's who knows how to do those cases, right? You wouldn't think it's a rep, you would think it's a surgeon. And so I just thought, man, that would be a really interesting TV show. I thought originally it's a TV show, but I thought in order to have it be a TV show, you have to write a story first. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a story. And that's really how it came about.
Why would a medical device rep be the perfect cover and just about the last person anyone would ever suspect is a serial killer?
Well, I would say, part of it is that they're charming, right? Most of them are fairly good looking. They have charisma, and people like them. And they're also they're helping people, right? Anybody who's in medical device sales, you can earn good money, but the fulfillment is you're helping those patients on the table, right? When we have a good surgery, that's the fulfillment. And I think that people wouldn't ever suspect that. So, I guess that would be the reason why that no one would suspect that there was someone like that.
Without naming any names, did anyone you ever worked with give you that uneasy, what if feeling?
No, I've never had anybody. Yeah, no one's ever. No, this is a fictional character that I thought of, and I guess the main thing was I wanted to be. I didn't want it to be like, oh, just a thrasher. We were just killing people with blood, and that's not what I wanted this to be. I want it to be like the transformation of a person who seems like they've got some problems, a little bit of problems, but nothing abnormal, but just their total transformation to a complete monster. So it's completely fiction, and no one's ever given me the willies or anybody I've ever worked with. No.
I'm sure there's some medical reps out there that are saying, my manager, that could be someone like that, especially toward the end of the quarter. Uh, Talk about the discipline of the writing process. A book that is 339 pages doesn't just spring out of thin air. What did it take to write this book while holding down what is more than a full-time job in medical sales? And I'm going to assume that your wife is an unsung hero on this project as well.
Um, well, consistency, self-discipline are huge things, and I think you just have to go after. You just have to do it. I think a lot of people, they want to do certain things in their life, and for whatever reason why they don't do it. Maybe they're too busy. We're all busy, right? But if you have a passion for something and you feel like there's something that's going to be really really well done, I think you just have to literally like just jump into the water, jump in pool and just go after it and just see where it goes from there. But yeah, I mean, I was consistent with it. I made sure that I had to do it every day, so I did it usually in the evening, a lot of times when my wife went to bed. And then what happened was kind of crazy. I mean, it just transformed, right? I mean, anybody who's creative, you get these thoughts and they just branch out. And that's what happened, and it's funny because I can tell you a couple quick stories. Like I would be sleeping in bed, and I'm not kidding you, like 2 o'clock in the morning, I had this thought, and I'm like running downstairs and I'm typing on my computer. I mean, because when you think of it, and it's funny too because I would be taking a shower, and maybe because you're in the shower, there's nothing to distract you. Maybe that's the reason why. But I'm just thinking, and all these thoughts came off, and one day I literally like this idea came up, and I literally put a towel on, and my wife comes down and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I literally had a towel on with no shirt, and I'm like typing on the computer, and I'm like, I had this idea. So I think that when you're passionate about something, doesn't matter what it is, you want to do a better job and you're motivated to do it. So the consistency and self-discipline, it needs to be there. But if you love what you're doing, it's just going to happen anyways.
Yeah. Great point. Did you ever hit a wall though and think, I don't think this book's ever going to get finished?
No. Because really, the thoughts just keep going. My wife would make a joke. She'd see me and she'd say, "The wheels are turning. The wheels are turning." She's making a joke about it, and it's true, and they are. So no, I never hit a wall. I would say I wrote the first book, and it's a fantastic book. And then after I published it, probably like a month later, I had this idea, and I was like, "Man, I wish I put that in the other book, in that book." And so I guess I didn't hit a wall, but that idea came to me, and I'm like, I have to do that. I have to put this in there because it makes it a whole nother level. And so I'm like, I'm going to make extended version. So I wrote the extended version, and next thing you know, it's 100 extra pages, right? So one idea turns into 100 extra pages. So, both books are fantastic. The original version is 250 pages, and it's 350 for the extended version. But yeah, I think if you put your heart into something, you love it, you don't hit a wall. I don't think either. I didn't at least.
Tell us about your research process as an author of this book. It really rings of authenticity, both from the medical device side and insights into the tasks and activities and mentality, but also the law enforcement side. Do you have family members in law enforcement?
Well, I have a cousin, Tommy. He just retired a couple years ago, and he was a police officer. And then I have an uncle that he was never married. and he saw he's come to our house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so we were pretty close. He just died a couple years ago, but one of the characters actually, it's not him, but it's some of the attributes of his personality are him, and he actually was a very fascinating man. He worked for Oakland County. He's Oakland County Sheriff. He got really high up. He actually got his law degree after he was a police officer. He was teaching, but I remember when I was a kid, he used to do like real life Miami Vice stuff. So like he would go down to like Miami in Florida, and he would do drug dealers, and he used to have pictures of with an earring and all this scruff, and you would never suspect it. But I kind of thought of some of those examples of things he told me when I was a kid. But then as far as the research goes as well, like I really wanted to dive into the psyche of Colin Yates, right? The main character of the story. So I did a lot of research on just serial killers, like how they become who they become, like what happens to them, what kind of trauma, is it genetic, is it environment, and it's all those things. And so I did a lot of research on that, which I think brings the character to life.
Certainly does. What's your routine for writing? A certain number of pages per day or a certain amount of time spent on writing? I read other authors have like these sort of really rigid rules around what time they'll sit down and how long they'll write every day. I don't know. Do you have anything like that?
No, so I think if I wrote multiple books and I was like thinking, oh, I'm gonna write a book to like earn a paycheck, I think it might be more like a job. I don't know if that's, but like with this, it was such a unique idea that it really almost was like I was laser focused on it. And I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really have to like set a lot of time. I almost had to like say, I need to stop writing so I can spend time with my wife. I need to stop writing so I can do other things, right? Coach soccer, right? Because I was just so involved in this. And then again, the ideas just keep branching off. So no, I didn't have like a set schedule, like what you're explaining.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a coach at all or anybody? You're a first time author. I mean, you just sound like you got really driven to bring this idea to life and just jumped in feet first.
Yes. I did exactly what I did. And it's funny because I'm not afraid to try new things. I think that I actually enjoy it. I welcome it, right? A lot of people don't like change. I welcome change. I mean, like I said, I've done podcasts in the past. I do sculpting. I just learned how to sculpt. I watched YouTube videos. And I started sculpting, right? I mean, I edit things on Da Vinci, and I'm sure he knows about Da Vinci. I just learned how to do Da Vinci. So, no, I just like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and that's it, and see how it turns out. But part of the thing too is when I was writing it, like I know how good it is. Like I'm not trying to sound like arrogant about it, but there's nothing out there like this. Like there really is no story like this ever. And that's why as I'm writing it, I'm like, man, this is really good. This is really good. This part's really good. So it just drove me to continue to write it. And so I wrote it.
I think it's resonating with a lot of people. You and I had talked about TikTok and how you had posted a video about the book. And I think at the last count, it was somewhere like 372,000 views on TikTok of your video.
Yeah, so the funny thing with, so I have like 6,000 connections on LinkedIn. I had none on TikTok. I never even did TikTok, but it's a necessity. I'm reading because you write the book, that's one part, and then you have to promote the book, right? Because you can have the best book ever, you can have the best thing ever, but if no one knows about it, doesn't matter. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to use it. So you got to also have a platform to show it. And so TikTok, my daughter, she's 21. She's like, you got to be on TikTok. So I started TikTok and I thought, what could I do to get people's attention, right? How can I be, because I see the people like, they'll take a book and they'll go like this. They'll shake it and they'll go like, and they'll lip sync, and that's fine. And I think that's fine. But I'm thinking, what can differentiate me from other people writing books? And so I actually went out one day to the hospital, and I'm in full I didn't mention this to you. I'm in full scrubs, you know, bonnet, mask, everything, and I'm in the OR, not in the actual like OR number 30, but I'm actually walking through with sterilization behind me. And I'm like talking about the book like this, and I'm talking about a killer. So it's kind of like, is this guy the killer? Right? Am I the killer? Obviously, I'm not a killer, right? But it's kind of like, what? What's this? It's kind of what? So it's different, right? And so I had like, I did this for like 3 times a week for 2 months. I did them all in one day, like did them like a 2-hour frame, and then I started just posting them randomly, right? And then all of a sudden, it was like 2 weeks ago, I see all these people liking this video, and I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it was out of a movie. I'm like, you're supposed to respond. You're supposed to respond to people to keep getting more traction, right? So I'm sitting there. I'm not even kidding you. I'm like responding to people. I couldn't keep up with the people posting. It was unbelievable. I'm like, I turned away. I'm like, Lisa, I yell, I'm like, Lisa, I can't even keep up with these people on here. So yeah, it said a 378,000 right before this podcast, which is, I guess that's quite a
That's
bit.
quite a bit. That's quite a bit. Well done. What was
Fun.
what was the most challenging part in writing this book, did you find? Was it just finding time for it? Because clearly you had the energy and the passion to finish it, but what did you find to be the most challenging part?
So the most challenging is after you write it, you can't have misspelled words,
True.
right? What if you have a word that's similar, right? I mean, even if it's like 5 words out of that many pages, you can't have misspelled words. You can't have grammar. So I would go through and I would type it up, then I'd put it on Grammarly, and then Grammarly helps you out with that. And then what I would do is I want to listen to it, right? Because hearing it's one thing, reading is one thing, hearing is another thing. So I literally would highlight it, I put it into a PDF, then I'd highlight it, and then it allows me to listen to it on my iPad. And I would listen to it, and then I'd find like one word. I'm like, that word's okay, but I need to be more descriptive. So I would add to that word. I'd change the word. So this went on. I mean, I must listen to this book like this is not no joke either, like probably 10 times. That's a lot of listening, right? And then I have to go through and, reread it. So I would say that by far the hardest part was that. I mean, if I had someone who worked for me who could do all that for me, that'd be great. But really, I probably wouldn't even want that because I'm not controlling, but I want to control what it says, so they wouldn't find the words to change that I found. You know what I'm saying? But that by far was extremely tedious, and that's not fun. That actually is very challenging to do.
Tell us more about how you got inside the head of Colin Yates, the main character of the book. I heard you say you did a lot of research on serial killers and whether it was nature or nurture that spawned these people and their deeds. But anything else you can share with us about how you really channel this person, if you will, in this book?
Well, so a side note, I don't really even, I don't really watch scary movies. I actually like comedies. My wife's the one who likes these kind of movies. I like happy, positive movies, like Dumb and Dumber, 4-Year-Old Virgin. That's what I like. So it's kind of odd that I'm even writing a book like this, really. But I do like American Psycho. Have you ever seen that before?
I haven't. I think I've seen clips on Instagram or something where there's some quick short of it.
Yeah, it's the guy who plays Batman. I can't think of his first name, but in the Dark Knight movies. But he's really good. I mean, he's in his characters, he's crazy, and so I kind of wanted to have someone kind of like that, but more in depth, right, into a psyche. And so I guess like if you had to compare a movie, it'd be like the Joker, the first Joker, not the one where they're singing, but the first Joker and American Psycho would be kind of give you a little idea of it. But the way I looked up, serial killers and how they are. And again, it's hard for me to explain too much because I'll give stuff away, But I wanted people to read the book and think like you don't feel bad for somebody who's killing people, right? They're killing people. I mean, that they should be in prison the rest of their life. But what if they had this happen to them as a kid, right? Like, what if these things happened to me? Would I kill people? No, I'm not going to kill anybody. But my life wouldn't be the way it is today. I wouldn't be a medical device rep. I'll tell you that, right? You know. So I almost want people to like to read it and think like, I know I shouldn't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad, but man, this guy had a raw deal. You know. So to me, that's kind of part of it too. And there's a guy I play soccer with who read the book, and it's funny because he calls me up and he tells me exactly what I said to you just now. And when he said that, it made me really happy. I'm like, wow, that's great because it got the person thinking. You know, so again, the book's not just like always killing people. It's his transformation from like a normal person into like a monster.
Got it. Yeah, certainly he does become a monster. Did the book evolve as you wrote it, or did you always know how it was going to end?
It evolved for sure. So the way I structured it was, you know, I just went online and looked up, you know, how do you structure a book? And then I structured it that way, bullet pointed it. Then I just put in different topics, and those were the chapters. And then I would just write. And then I did have an idea how I wanted it to end, but I don't know how I don't know how I was going to do it. But I had the idea. In the first book, that's how it ends. In the second book, you know, extended edition, it has a completely different ending.
I
So
noticed.
yeah,
Yeah, I've read
yeah.
both.
Well, you did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's some details in there. Whew. Just disclaimer to anybody listening. John knows surgery, he knows the OR, and this character is a psycho. There are some things in there that are not for the squeamish. I'll tell you that right now.
Wait, you know what's funny? You know what's funny too is when I wrote the first book, I didn't want to put a bunch of like violence in it. So, for example, he gives someone a craniotomy, okay, and this is I kind of make him witty too. So he tells the woman, he says, "I had to shave your head. I'm giving you a craniotomy," and he explains what it is. And then after he says, "Don't worry, your hair's gonna grow back." Well, clearly he's gonna kill her, and that's you know. So I try and make him kind of witty, right, in a like demented kind of way. But that's really all there is. I don't get into that he like is sawing her skull. I don't get into that in the first book because I didn't. That wasn't the point of it. But I would go to like Target or different stores, and I would talk to people like in that area in the book section, and people would tell me they would say we like that. We like to have the gore, and I was like, really? I'm like, why? They're like, because that's like the completion. Like that's you're explaining what happens. So in the second book, I have all that in there.
So, John, you're obviously an insider in the medical device world. What details did you put in there that only a medical device insider will fully appreciate?
Well, I think that I'm just thinking. I don't want to tell you too much. He he doesn't start off in medical device sales. He starts off. It's okay. He starts off in copiers, right? Because we all know copiers is hard sell, right? Right? He sells copiers, and then somehow he gets into medical device sales. And so in the sales interview process, I have him say, so Jordan, is there any reason why you wouldn't, move me on to the next part of the round? All that deal, right? So people who are in sales, they get all that, right? And then also he has a ride along. We have him in sterilization processing. We have him deal with surgeons who are needy, right? You always have most surgeons I've experienced are fantastic, but you always have that one who might be a little arrogant, and then I exaggerate it a little bit. So yeah, really, if you like thriller books and you're in medical device sales, or you're a nurse or even a surgeon, like this is like a no-brainer for you to read because you'll totally relate to this. You'll totally love the book for sure.
Do you see Pipeline of Death as purely entertainment, or is it a cautionary tale in some ways?
Purely entertainment. I can't imagine anybody actually. Technically someone could do this, but the average citizen could also take a steak knife out of their kitchen and kill someone too, right? So, yeah, it's just a fictional book that is really really unique and different.
Yeah, it's very different. This has been great having you on. If Hollywood calls you tomorrow and says, "We've got a deal for you. We want to make this into a movie or a TV series or something," who would you love to cast as Colin
So
Yates?
I think that Jacob, I think it's Lordy. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's actually in Euphoria, and he's a nice looking guy, right? He's got, if you've seen Euphoria, he's got a kind of a dark side too. I think he'd be really good at it. It's got to be someone in their late 20s. That's about the
Hmm.
age. Um, yeah, I would think him. I think he'd be good. I think also oh, what's his name? The High School Musical guy. What's his name again? Zac Efron. I think he'd be good. He was great in that other serial kill about Ted Bundy. He was great in that book. I saw that.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
So that,
Hmm.
they
It
both be
was
really
good.
good.
Hmm.
Do you know them by chance? Do you have their
Yep.
numbers? Because that'd be great too.
I, as far as I know, they don't want to be a medical rep, so I don't have their number, unfortunately. But if I ever get it, I'll pass it along. Can you give us a teaser? Is this the start of a series or is it a standalone book?
So it's a standalone book. Um, However, if I was to get an idea that I think would make it fantastic. All right, that's the key to this, right? I mean, anybody who reads this book, you know, it's not like, oh, John's just trying to earn some money out of this. It's not. I mean, I wrote a really
Mhm.
unique, fantastic story. So if I ever got the idea to bridge off of this, then yes. But as of now, right, no. But as you know, because you've read both books, there could be. I did that purposely.
Mhm. That's great. Well, here's your book. I'm going to hold it up one more time, and it's available on Amazon and on Kindle. Where can people, if they want to connect with you on this story, on your work, where can they find you and interact with you? Do you have a blog? Do you have a website or
I
anything
don't
like
have a
that?
website, but I would say LinkedIn's a great way to connect with me for sure. And then TikTok videos are, I mean, really, if you haven't seen the TikTok videos, they're kind of crazy actually. They're pretty good.
What's your TikTok handle? How could they? Is it your
Yeah, it's
first name,
John
last name?
J. Yeah, John middle initial, and then my last name. Yep, Polizzi. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, we recorded this just a little bit ahead of the start of October, and go ahead, get it, The Pipeline of Death, read it for spooky season here, and connect with John. John, thank you for being
Yeah,
on.
Jordan, thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate your time, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening to the Chase MedSearch podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to visit our website at chasemedsearch.com and drop a resume. That way you never miss a job opportunity. And please subscribe to our YouTube platform, even if you like to consume the content in other ways. It really helps our algorithm, and we'd love to see you.